We collect women who have high self-belief, and self-belief is a simpler term for self-efficacy. So they're really capable, confident, and competent women, and they struggle with low self-worth, if anything. And so low self-worth being lack of boundaries, really struggling sometimes to keep the promises they make to themselves. Social courage is a big one. Knowing and understanding what it means to show up as your authentic self in spaces. Permission to invest in themselves is another one. A lot of women, especially mothers and other serving hearts, they see that as selfish instead of selfless. And there's a whole layer there. And then they really struggle with comparison too. So those are just kind of 5 main things that really we see with low self-worth. And so we help build that up along the way. Now, we deeply believe in goals, habits, metrics, tracking, all of these really tangible things, but we're always working with identity along the way. If you have a core aspiration, a goal, and your identity, your core values, your core belief don't line up with that, you're going to find a way to go off the rails. And so we always say we give them what they want, but we find what they really need, and we help them with that as well. Because like I said, holistically, those things go together.
You're listening to Brainwork Framework, a business and marketing podcast, brought to you by Focus-Biz.com.
Welcome back to another episode. Joining us today is the Director of Group Coaching from Next Level University, Amy Lenius. She's a speaker, a coach, and the Director of Group Coaching, primarily helping women redefine success in a way that feels deeply aligned with their values, using clarity, self-belief, emotional resilience, self-worth, and sustainable daily habits. So excited to have you on. Amy, how you doing today?
I'm so good, thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
Absolutely. I want to ask you more about your journey. What were you doing before that kind of led you into what you're doing today?
Yeah, so before Next Level University, I feel like the journey, we can high level it because it all kind of is relevant. I was telling you in the little preamble there, I actually grew up very sick with a hormonal condition called endometriosis. And I was told for a very long time that I would be sick for the rest of my life. I would have chronic pain, never be able to have children. I'd had to have surgeries and medications and all sorts of things consistently for the rest of my days. And I went with that for a while and did what I could do within that system. But I ended up going to school myself for anatomy and physiology, and started just this different path of healing to take my health into my own hands and really just start getting curious, to starting expanding what wellness meant to me and all the different practices, and started to find health and healing, and had 2 beautiful children, and ended up running a practice that was based around pre- and postnatal care and pelvic balancing for women and just helping them. And a huge part of my journey was natural wellness. And so like plants, essential oils, teas, herbs, just lifestyle in general, very holistic. And I got invited regularly to speak in rooms of women to hear my story and to hear about what had worked for me, which turned into stages and turned into keynote speeches. And it was a really beautiful journey into helping women understand themselves, their bodies, their hormones, their stress, those really, really important things. And I created my own program for a while. I was group coaching with women. It was called the Peaceful Period Project. And I had a podcast at the time myself as well. And I was working with Kevin and Alan as a client. I fell in love with everything that they were doing because they were talking about holistic self-improvement. And I fell in love with the word holistic on my healing journey. Holistic meaning everything affects everything else. If you're just talking about one piece of your life, your body, your health, however you want to look at it, it's not separate from everything else. And so being able to hear these couple of guys talking about holistic self-improvement, health, wealth, quality of life, love, having them all, and how they can all work together and we can continuously get better in each one and have this beautiful life. I was like, oh, I love this. I love what they're doing.
Yes.
So I threw myself into everything that they had to offer. I was a client. They produced my podcast for me for many reasons. I'm not a technologically savvy kind of person, so I just wanted to show up and talk and then let them do the editing, which was amazing. And then I got this beautiful opportunity one day. I sent my keynote presentation called Holistic Healing for Your Hormones to Alan, who is also a public speaker. And I just wanted some feedback from a fellow speaker. And he invited me to come MC their live event for them. He said, come down to the States, I'm in Canada, and come MC for us for the day. Come help us put on this live event just dedicated to personal development and self-improvement. I was like, oh, what a different space and what an opportunity to not only hang out with these guys that I absolutely adore, all the work that they're doing in the world, but to go be a part of it. And everything just proliferated from there. I started helping with trainings and speeches, and then into group coaching as assistant coach and now facilitator of group coaching. I get to facilitate the whole experience. And I have my own coaching through them, and they have done nothing but celebrate and encourage everything I was doing before with all the knowledge I had about women and their emotional and hormonal cycles and everything, and bring it into what they were doing. Because when I first started with them, the majority of their community were just these heart-driven women. It was amazing. And so they brought me in, and I don't know if any of us expected for me to go where I am now. I've been there for almost 4 years, and now I show up as this third front-facing person of this company, and it's just been incredible.
That is absolutely incredible. I love your journey. It's crazy how sometimes just how life plays itself out, these opportunities that kind of present themselves, but it's up to us to take them and to really run with them. And the fact that you have this connection, this is like finding your level of genius, where the things you love to do and help people bring it all together. And this is what you've built now.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel the same. I felt like it was just following that next most aligned step. What was next that I could do more of and do more with?
Absolutely. And I do love that you focus on women entrepreneurs, because I feel like they have such incredible assets and value to bring to the business world, community, life in general. And all of my best mentors have been women. They've encouraged, inspired me, taught me things that I didn't believe in myself just yet, but they believed in me. And that created just this snowball effect where I was now more capable of doing things. Thank you for your work in that space, because we need more of them. And I owe my success to a lot of strong, powerful women in my life as well.
Oh, that's incredible. That's amazing to hear. Yeah, I deeply believe that women have so many incredible qualities for leadership. And there's so many different kinds of leadership, but there are some types and forms of leadership where women can just thrive. And we do find women coming into our community who are heart driven, and they have all these beautiful ideas how to serve the world, but they just need someone to help create the railroad tracks, to help keep them on track with their goals and dreams and break it down for them into like how to's. That's, I think, something special that we really offer.
Absolutely. And for the work that you're doing, are these women primarily in a certain space, do you find? Are they working in a certain industry? Are they all kind of going through similar struggles like that? They just need the tracks, that direction and clarity, like you were talking about?
Yeah, we do collect a certain kind of women. We collect women who have high self-belief. And self-belief is a simpler term for self-efficacy. So they're really capable, confident, and competent women. And they struggle with low self-worth, if anything. And so low self-worth being lack of boundaries, really struggling sometimes to keep the promises they make to themselves. Social courage is a big one. Knowing and understanding what it means to show up as your authentic self in spaces. Permission to invest in themselves is another one. A lot of women, especially mothers and other serving hearts, they see that as selfish instead of selfless. And there's a whole layer there. And then they really struggle with comparison too. So those are just kind of 5 main things that really we see with low self-worth. And so we help build that up along the way. Now, we deeply believe in goals, habits, metrics, tracking, all of these really tangible things, but we're always working with identity along the way. If you have a core aspiration, a goal, and your identity, your core values, your core belief don't line up with that, you're going to find a way to go off the rails. And so we always say we give them what they want, but we find what they really need, and we help them with that as well. Because like I said, holistically, those things go together. As much as we would love to see ourselves as separate from our businesses, separate from our work, and how our relationships are separate from our work, and parenting is separate from our work, that they all go together, and we can be thriving in all of them and understanding when to put one down, when to give one momentum, how to keep harmony and flow going between all of them. That's a really just such valuable gift you can give women, because they're all chasing this falsity of balance. Oh, if I could just balance all of these things. I know, right? If I could just balance my work and my life, my parenting, this, okay, well, here's a big permission piece for you. You can't balance them. Balance means equally all at once. And you can't be equal all things all at once. So you need permission and a system to flow in and out of the things that matter to you most.
It's incredible that women have these struggles, but they sound very similar to what men struggle with as well. The confidence, the clarity, the direction. Again, very unique challenges between both gender sexes. I don't want to take away from that, but I think we're more in common and aligned on many of those things, that we can be helping each other out in these scenarios.
Well, I agree so much. And I love partnerships where you get that male-female energy happening because women have such a gift for thinking spectrally. We can see all of these different things, and men are so talented at direct focus. Just as a generalization, again, there's always nuances. There's always some are more skilled at this again. But to generalize, absolutely. And we do see a lot of similar struggles between our male and female clients. The story underneath, I find, is always very different. The stories, the different values, how attachment styles show up differently in men and women, and like just all of those little nuances are so fun. Not always feel fun and exciting when you discover them, because sometimes they're really heavy and they're hard to move through. But it's so wonderful to watch someone put a piece of their own puzzle together and then be able to work with that from an empowered state rather than having those pieces run them off unconsciously and taking them off the rails of their goals.
Right, absolutely. And I feel overall the more clarity and direction that we can provide to people, we're just kind of unlocking all their capabilities, because that confidence is such a huge piece. But I want to talk more about the holistic piece and specifically our health, because it shows up in many different areas of our life. And small changes in that, I feel like, can have such a lasting impact. So, can you speak more on that health side, and be more holistic, and how that has that ripple effect?
Absolutely. Health it's the thing. It really is, right? The second your back goes out, you're like, oh my gosh, I've never been grateful for my back and now I can't twist properly. Or maybe your neck's out and you're turning like Batman.
Do one of these.
All of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, now that's my only focus. It's your only focus. If you get a cold, it's like hard to focus on everything else. So health is such an important key piece to everything that you're doing, because at the end of the day, if you fall down, everything you're carrying and doing, all the hats that you're wearing fall down with you. And so the more we can be proactively healthy, that's always a goal. But I think understanding that your health is so tied to your external environment, and understanding that your internal environment, it's a community. They all work together. And so as much as certain systems and certain diagnoses and things love to just focus on one little piece, I promise you, you are a holistic functioning being, and it affects everything else going on in your body. Now, sometimes it's like the chicken and the egg, what started first, but sometimes you just need to go in there and start something. And a lot of times it can be things like sleep and hydration and focusing on gut health. Those are real three that can just boost anything that you're going through, or just proactive wellness to begin with. But your health is something that should be a priority. I deeply believe that. And it is a version of success. As someone who is very sick, health journeys, weight loss journeys, strength building journeys, they're all a goal and they're all a version of success. And that's why I deeply believe success is subjective. We have people coming to us for all sorts of different goals, all sorts of different versions of success. We have a fitness group. It's a free WhatsApp community, and we have people in there just keeping each other accountable every day. And I love, we got some really heavy bodybuilders in there, and we have some people like myself like, well, I went for a little hike today. Look at us go.
That's your version of success, you know?
Well, and I love being out in nature and things, but I love working out from home and showing that you can do weights. And my walking pad in the winter, because we have 1.5 feet of snow right now, not going out for my hike today. Absolutely not. Just different versions of that are always so welcome as well, because again, it's so subjective.
Right, absolutely. And I myself also have that walking pad. The winter is just terrible here. I don't want to be outside, but anything to keep our bodies moving, our body being active, I think equals our mind being active as well. Many studies and just research show that, your body moving absolutely adds more blood flow, and just keeps you more sharp and clear.
Yeah, I totally agree. And like we were talking about in the little preamble there, I love focusing on women's health because that's where a lot of my background stuff is. So none of my clients can go through their sessions without me at least bringing it up at some point, because you see a lot of women who struggle with energetic consistency. They'll be like, oh my gosh, last week I was hitting the gym. I was consistent with my diet. I was crushing my habits and all my work. I felt so creative, so social. And this week I feel like a potato. It's me. I suck. Why can't I be consistent? Why can't I? It's like, oh, you're not physically, mentally, and emotionally set up to feel the same as you did last week. So how can I offer some insight, some permission, and some validation, and help you still reach your goals, honor your daily habits, but let's also honor the season you're in hormonally. So we're not feeling like a failure. We're working with our bodies instead of against it. And so with female entrepreneurs, this is a superpower you can tap into, because in the early stages of your cycle, you are very creative. So if you do social media work or anything that's going to be creative, where you need to pull creative thoughts and pull beautiful things together, anything like that, you are more physically, neurologically set up to do that better with ease. And then the next week, you are more social, you're more articulate, you're more into showing up in front of things. Like when I'm in that season and I go on a podcast, I absolutely crush compared to the other weeks of my cycle. It's my favorite time to podcast, it's my favorite time to speak, and it's the best. So if you have run your own schedule and can schedule most of your important front-facing time during this season, go for it. And then you're going to go into a season where you're actually more organized. So if you need to do some behind the scenes organization, some spreadsheet work, anything, you're going to be more set up for that. And then you shift into an internal season where you actually do need more rest and you have time to be in touch with yourself and see how things are going. And that's just such a high level. But there's so many different things that you can tap into. And again, stop fighting against unconsciously and making it about yourself and how it's that you're lazy or that you're just tired or whatever it is. It's like, where are you in your hormone cycle? Because that plays a huge deal and it gives you so much insight.
That is so fascinating. And it sounds like the ultimate hack just to know this is what are the things we can't control. This is how our body responds to it. And if we have some control over our calendar, how do we position ourselves in our workload to maximize that benefit? That way you're not working against the current here. Just you're able to go with the flow and just maximize all the benefits there.
Exactly. And if you're not in control of your calendar, you can still do things that honor the season you're in. So if you know that you're actually not going to be and feeling as energized and momentum feeling today, at least you're giving yourself grace. And you can take an extra 5-minute break and bring yourself different teas or bring yourself an extra snack today or however that looks. Go for a little walk on your lunch. You're just caring for yourself different because you know you're going to show up different and it's actually going to really help you in those moments. And so even just with the grace, the permission, and trying to fit in what you can into your schedule, it's such a gift.
Wow, that is so fascinating. Amy, I wanted to ask, where can people find you and connect with you online?
Oh, I'm a very simplistic being. I love Instagram and Facebook. I find those the easiest to navigate for me. And so anyone can reach out at Amy Lenius on Facebook and Instagram. When you message me, it's me in my DMs. You're not getting AI. You're not getting an assistant. As we move into this age that we're moving into, we're doubling down on community and person-to-person connection because we think that's going to be such an important commodity. And I don't think I know that's going to be a thing. So we're so dedicated to community, personal attention, and I always make sure that it is me you're getting in my social media DMs. So you can reach out anytime, ask me questions. I love chatting with people.
I love that. And we'll have the links available down in the show notes and the description so everyone can get connected here. I wanted to ask, what are businesses doing right? Have you found certain traits that successful people consistently showing up, this is what they're showing?
Yeah. As far as businesses behind the scenes, it's tracking. If someone knows their numbers, they're going to be doing better long-term and over time than someone who doesn't. So metrics, what are you tracking? What's the most important things in your business you need to be tracking? Even as individuals within a company. So I'm what's considered an intrapreneur now within an entrepreneurial journey. We all have our own trackers and our own most important metrics, most important habits. Like it's all broken down. And we can all come together every 2 weeks and check on it, check on the department metrics. It's wild, actually. When I first came in, I was like, what is this? Google Sheets, you say, what is this? Who wants to go back to talking about hormones? And, knowing your strengths, owning your weaknesses, and diving in. But yeah, measuring. The people that know that, oh my gosh. And then forward facing as far as like the difference between hard skills and soft skills, having both. Like hard skills is that tracking, that Google Sheets, the ability for frameworks and different things, whatever it is your company needs. And then the soft skills to match. You need both. I want you to think of it like a foot on each side. If you just have the hard skills, at some point you are going to walk in circles. If you just have soft skills, unfortunately, you're just going to walk in circles as well. It's amazing to have the intelligence, the people skills, the social skills, and think that's so important. But it's also really important over here to make sure that you have both.
Right, absolutely. And if you're not tracking, how can you be held accountable? How can you even know what your business is doing this year versus last year? Are you growing? Are you receding? How can you
Like,
tell
how do you
without
know
the
what's
tracking?
working? How do you know what to
Right.
let go of and what to double down on? In
Yes.
businesses, you should always be expanding a little bit, assessing the expansion, and then doubling down on what works. And expand and hone. You can't do that to the best of your ability without knowing what's working and what isn't. And numbers don't lie in that. And so I think that's always really, really important. And I can't even believe 3, 4 years ago, Amy would be like, what are you saying? But now I hang out with Alan and Kevin way too much, apparently, that I'm into numbers.
Both the good and bad influences, right?
Yeah, it's so good.
That's amazing. Amy, one final question, wanted to ask, what are you looking forward to most in 2026? Are you, looking at what is working and doubling down on it? Are you taking some new initiatives? What are you thinking about for 26?
Yeah, this is the year. Last year, 2025 was very momentous for us. We had so much momentum. So it was just constant, messy action, just keeping up with the demand was higher than the capacity almost, which was amazing. That's not a bad problem to have. I'm so grateful for everything that happened for us last year. So this year it is about what is the most important thing for each department, the most important skill, the most important everything. So we are getting back into very clear, let's not expand again until we are making sure that we have the capacity, the right amount of team members, everything to hold what we currently have while still growing. We're still fortunate enough to be growing, but we want to make sure that the things that matter most are getting the most clarity, certainty, action that they can have.
And I love what you said about messy action. A lot of people chase perfection or it hinders and holds them back. But messy action, that is what it takes because you learn so much from it. And like you said, hey, we had this growth here. Now we can organize and figure things out and learn what's important to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Messy action, progress over perfection, always. Perfection's going to hold
Yes.
you in a space of freezing, and it doesn't even exist. Anyways, it doesn't exist. You're chasing something that doesn't exist. So the sooner that you can learn that, the more, I don't know, less overwhelmed you're going to feel. And I think the other thing would be I always look forward to our live event. That's once a year where we get to get together in person and do our live event. And that's coming up in the spring. And that's always my favorite time of year. I get to travel down to the States, see the guys, put on a great event. And that's something I look forward to every year.
That's amazing. Well, Amy, thank you again for coming onto the podcast and sharing your wisdom, tips, and tricks with us and for all the work that you're doing out in the community. Keep up the great work.
Thank you so much for having me and for all the great questions.
Of course, it was our pleasure. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.